Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Schulmann Smithtown podcast. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Schulmann here in Smithtown. Before I get rolling today, I wanted to ask you guys a favor. I've been asking you guys at the end of the episode, but I wanted to make sure I asked you guys straight out in the beginning as well. Just a couple of things I'd ask you to do for me. First and foremost, please make sure that you guys subscribe on whichever podcast medium you listen to, whether you're listening on YouTube or a podcast app. Make sure you subscribe so that way every Wednesday you get your episode, you don't miss a thing. Secondly, please make sure that wherever you're listening, you do me a favor and leave a rate and a review of the podcast itself, just to make it a little easier to help us spread the word and the message of the podcast and help it get to that many more people. Speaking of which, one more thing I could really appreciate would be if you guys would please share the podcast. All right. Again, whichever medium you listen to it on, if you could share it on social media, share it with a friend, somebody who you think maybe needs to hear it, that would certainly be a very helpful thing, and I'd certainly appreciate it quite a lot. Now, to that end, let's talk about the subject I want to talk about this week, I should say. So, earlier today, I did one of my favorite traditions. Every year in my school, every December, we do a toy drive, and I've been doing it for a number of years. I've been holding it for a number of years. And every year, the generosity of people blows me away. And I've done it for a few different charities throughout the years. And there's a nice charity here on Long Island called the Lighthouse Mission that I like to work with. Very, very local charity. Helps families right here in Suffolk County, Long Island. So I like it a lot. And every year, we gather up as many toys as we can. I then spend the night before, at the end of the toy drive, packing them up, and I drive them over the following morning, bringing them there, and the way the faces of the staff light up when I bring in all the bags of toys that my very generous school gets together, man, it's incredible. I absolutely love it. It's something that I think is so valuable to me, not only on a charity-wise level, but on a spiritual level. Being able to do good for others, I think, is one of those things that just helps your mind be in a better place, right? And I think about doing for others a lot, obviously. I mean, obviously, when you think about what I do for a living, it's a very for others kind of thing. It's in service of others, right? I don't teach martial arts to myself. I teach it to all my students. But I want to talk about why I think it's so important to make sure you're making time every day to do something for someone else. Let's start with the simplest example that you can possibly imagine. Right here in my neighborhood, and I'm sure many of your neighborhoods are the same way, we've got a 7-Eleven right around the corner. And it's a nice little convenience store to stop at. To get out of my neighborhood, I have to drive past it. So I stop there fairly frequently, get a pack of gum or whatever. And whenever I walk in, invariably there's always somebody walking out or there's somebody walking in. So I was raised that you always hold the door for that person, especially if it's someone who's older than me. Right? If it's an older woman or older man, I always make sure I hold the door for them. To me, it's just the polite thing to do. But it's something that's done on a more and more rare occasion. And as a result, you see their face light up when you stop and hold the door for them. And I think that's so cool to see exactly how much it affects their day when you do something positive for somebody. That's awesome. You think about it, you do something as simple as that, holding the door for a person. You watch their face light up and the way it makes them feel better. That's awesome. But obviously, it doesn't end as things as simple as that. Now, obviously, I think a great many jobs, a great many careers that people live, they're definitely in service of others. I think it's more rare where you work a job that doesn't affect other people. But, our work is only a certain portion of our day. And I think when we take the time to do things for others, I think it really makes a difference. It really, really does. And I think it affects those relationships for the positive. And relationships are something that we talk about quite a lot on here, not in the romantic sense, but in the interpersonal sense. And I think one of the things that makes our interpersonal relationships better are when we take the time to do things for other people. The stupidest things, the most insignificant things can make the biggest difference. I'll give you guys an example. I realize I said not romantic relationships, but I frequently talk about my wife and I, and that's simply because I live with her. So obviously, a lot of the things I talk about are going to affect our life as well. She's a part of a tennis club or a tennis seminar that they do at this little tennis program that she does, and I hate to call it a little tennis program. That was not very cool of me. I'm sorry. It's an awesome tennis program that she loves a lot, but nonetheless, she really, really enjoys it. I can go into why some other time, but not important. So she's got her tennis bag with her racket and all of her equipment and stuff like that. And every Monday when it's time for tennis and she's getting ready for work, and she's thinking, oh, I have tennis tonight. First off, you see her face light up when she thinks about it. But more so, a simple thing like taking last week's laundry out of the bag and putting this week's clean outfit into the bag for her, I know that does such an amazing thing for her when she knows I've taken care of it. Think about it in terms of this. We're at the gift-giving time of year. And when you get like that perfect gift for a person. Like this year, I have a tradition as to what I get my younger sister. I get her the same type of thing every year, but I happen to stumble across something that will have such a personal meaning to her when she opens it. And it was a silly, very inexpensive item, but I just happened to come across it. I saw it, and I know it's going to make a tremendous difference in the way she views this little, what we refer to in my family as a gatsy little thing. Again, a small little gift, but wow, what a difference it's going to make for her because she's got this personal connection with it. And that's how it is all this gift-giving time of year. And it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. Because this time of year, especially once you've got to the point where you're getting gifts for other people, that to me is far more fun than the receiving of gifts. It's funny. I'm more excited for my wife to open her holiday gifts than I am to open mine. It's a funny transition. When we were kids, we're a little more selfish. And now as adults, we're definitely a little more selfless, or a lot more selfless. And I think that's so cool because I think as a part of maturity, we look at things a little bit better. We look at things in a more selfless way. Think about it. The holiday times, parents, they get gifts from their kids, but their greatest joy is watching their kids open their gifts. That's really, really big. Really, really big. Now, obviously, this is just one small time of the year. Just one small time. But, nonetheless, it's a great way to go through the rest of our year. To think about how we can do things on a daily basis to make things better for those around us. The simplest things, like I said, can make an impact on your day. Little things. You don't understand how much people appreciate little things, And I think it's one of those things that just kind of makes the world that much better. See, as a human being, We have our own world that we live in, and there's people all around us, of course. And in our own little universe, the people around us can certainly make it better. So realize that you have that same ability for other people. Think about it this way. Someone says something nice to you on a regular day, talks about how good that outfit looks on you, how your hair looks good that day, how if you're in martial arts class, your round kick looks better, you did an excellent job on this thing at work. That person didn't have to say or do that thing, but man, it made a difference, didn't it? And it's amazing how we can show our love for people, of varying degrees of love, obviously, in the simplest ways. I love you isn't always said with just the words "I love you." Right? Sometimes "I love you" is something as simple as, when you go out and you start your spouse's car for them, putting a seat warmer on. Little stupid thing. That when you make yourself a cup of coffee, you make them one too. That when they're going to, get out of the shower and put this particular outfit, stupid thing, put that thing out for them. Now, parents respect this. They see this when it comes to their relationship with their children all the time. All the time. Parents, at that point in your life, you become as selfless as possible. Why? Because at that point, obviously, it's your mission in life to take care of that child. And it's funny, like I have a friend of mine, a couple, they have a 1-year-old daughter, and they just had the craziness of testing positive for COVID. More accurately, the 1-year-old daughter and the wife of the couple just tested positive for COVID. And, the husband and wife are in good enough health that they're not overly concerned, and the wife is not having a very hard time with COVID, and nor is the infant. But they're so disappointed that the first Christmas where they'll be able to have a real Christmas with their daughter, because last year she was 10 days old when Christmas hit, and this year she can actually really interact with people and have an actual memorable Christmas. They're far more upset about not being able to make memories for her than they are about themselves. And that's the thing. One of the surest ways to put a smile on your face is to put a smile on somebody else's. Why? Because you're not just touching one life then. You're touching two. And that is twice as good, obviously. But I think it's so cool. I think it's so cool. It's why I do what I do. Because when I am interacting with my class and I say something positive, this is the cool thing. There's this ripple effect. Earlier today, I'm teaching one of my classes, and little Scarlett, I've talked about little Lily before. Lily has a younger sister, Scarlett. Little Scarlett's in class. I start talking about how well Scarlett is doing and the serious look in her eyes and so on and so forth. And how intensely she's training, how hard she's trying. And all of a sudden, one of the kids across the room raises his hand. He's like, "I'm going to train harder than Scarlett." I was like, "Good luck." Using the positivity that I'm giving Scarlett to inspire somebody else to do a little bit better. And then, as kids often do, that one kid says something. So now another kid has to raise his hand and tell me he's going to train even harder than him. And then another kid's like, "I'm going to train harder than every kid in the class." It's amazing how it works. One little bit of positivity, now it's touched all those little lives. Right? Because in our society, in our way of thinking, often we think about paying it forward. And that's the beautiful thing. A little bit of time for others. A little bit of your day doing something for someone else might just inspire that person to do something for someone else themselves. And so on, and so on, and so on. It's beautiful. See, that's the thing. Human beings, if nothing else, we are social creatures. Think about the worst thing they can do to a prisoner that's in jail. They're in prison, it's bad enough they took away their freedom. But then if they're really, a bad criminal and, they're really poorly behaved and so forth, what do? They take that criminal and they put him in solitary confinement. They take away their ability to have any social interaction. Why? Because at the end of the day, we do care for others deeply. Think about it. It's why, we do so many of the things that we do. And it's why solitude is, though necessary sometimes, it's one of the worst things you could force onto another person. It's not what we'd like at all. So what I want you guys to think about is what you can do on a daily basis to just make somebody else's world a little bit better. It doesn't have to be major. It doesn't have to cost anything except a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. Because those little things like that can mean so much. Something as simple as I have, a family in my school that trains. Father trains. The two kids train. His niece and nephew train. They all take class together, and the father is so into it. When he comes to class, he's always watching the class. He listens to it on the lobby camera that I have. And he knows all the other kids that are in class with his kids. And, if a kid got a compliment that day or if a kid got a stripe that day, he knows all about it. And he always congratulates the kids. And every single kid stops and says, "Thank you." Their face lights up. Isn't it incredible? Isn't it incredible? So think about how the little things you say or do on a daily basis can really impact somebody. So I'll make this about me for a minute in a uncharacteristically selfish way of talking. I want to talk about one thing I save. And it's like to the detriment of my wife. It's one of the few things that she busts my chops about. I have a box in one of the bedrooms of our house. And in that box is a collection of letters and cards and so on and so forth. Pictures, drawings, so on. That I've collected throughout the years. Most of them are from before I had my school, because all the ones from while I have my school, they're at my school. And I save these things not because, they remind me of what the person bought me or whatever. I save them because, yes, did I do something for those people? Sure. That's not why I save them. I save them because those people did something for me. Those people took irreplaceable time out of their lives to write me a letter or a card or whatever. They took time to say some beautiful or kind words. And I hold on to them because some of those things happened 15 years ago. And yet I could still open that card, read it, and instantly be transported, instantly see the people's faces, hear their voices in my mind. Why? Because of how that person changed my life, the kind thing they did for me by putting pen to paper. Again, what did it take them? 5 minutes to write out that card? But that nice thing they said, and the feeling that came along with it, has stuck with me for all these years. So as you approach this coming week, I want you guys to think about every day doing a little something selfless for somebody else. Because when you shine a light on somebody else, it makes your own star shine brighter. Don't feel some kind of selfish way. Realize that by lifting others, you're raising the tide. And the rising tide raises all ships. Being a little selfless, taking care of others, even just a couple of minutes a day. Something as simple as holding open a door, as simple as a kind word, as simple as a sweet little note, as simple as grabbing a person a fork when you get one too. Those little things, they make a big difference. They show that other person that you respect and appreciate them, that you want to put a little positivity in their lives. Hopefully, you'll inspire them to do the same. So, that's all I have for you guys this week. To that end, as always, I'll ask you guys the same thing I did at the beginning of the episode. Please share the podcast and whatever medium you listen to it. Rate and review, and make sure you subscribe to get new episodes every single Wednesday. Other than that, as always, reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at sensei_Leonelli. On Facebook, I'm Sensei James Leonelli on Facebook. For my school, find us online at tsksmithtown.com. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at tsmma_Smithtown. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Tiger Schulman Smithtown. Find out more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. And find the podcast on Instagram at TS Smithtown Podcast. And until next week, guys, I will see you guys on the mat.